Well, that was a rousing win. It was a rousing thing to happen on a Wednesday night. Who knew that was going to happen? Anybody have that on their bingo cards today? Pitt getting an 89-66 win at Georgia Tech. Pitt going to Atlanta and beating the Yellow Jackets for the Panthers' first ACC win of the 2025-26 season. I picked Pitt to win. I did. You can go check the staff picks at Panther-Lair.com. Put another win, put another notch in the win column for me and for Matt Steinbrink. He also picked Pitt to win. Jim and Steven and Houston all picked Georgia Tech. I picked Pitt to win, but I did not pick Pitt to win by 23 points. I picked them to win by like 4. I definitely did not think that game would go that way, but it sure did. And Pitt improves to 8-9 on the season, 1-3 in the ACC. They get their first conference win by beating the Yellow Jackets on the road. A pretty impressive performance overall, not without its flaws, but those flaws were pretty few, and this team played really, really well to beat Georgia Tech tonight. We got a lot to talk about as far as that goes. You can get in on the conversation, talking about Pitt, Georgia Tech. Jim's going to join us in a little bit. He's finishing up writing an article to put on the front page of Panther-Lair.com, and then he will join us to talk about that game, and of course also the transfer portal as well. Lots to talk about on that front. Talk about what's going on for Pitt in the portal, some misconceptions, reading through the comments. Everybody already wants to talk about everybody always wants to talk about the portal and things like that. We got a lot to discuss there. A Hendy 30 says extend Capel. Is that where we're going already? You're extending Jeff Capel after this one? I know it's obviously facetious, but that's good. Brock Madonic says it's the Nojus Indrisaitis game, and Nojus, talk about breaking out. This is a guy who not scored a point in a game since December 17th. He was completely scoreless in Pitt's 3 ACC games so far. In those 3 games, the losses to Miami, Clemson, and Syracuse, he shot a combined 0 of 12 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3. He even missed 2 free throws in the Miami game. Just playing really, really poorly and was borderline unplayable, and his minutes sort of reflected that. He played about 22 minutes at Miami, a little less than 14 against Clemson, and then less than 10 minutes. He logged about 9 minutes against Syracuse on Saturday. Today, he goes out there and arguably the team MVP. He was a plus 11 in this game while playing 24 minutes, but he scored 16 points, 5 of 9 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, made both of his free throws. He had 4 rebounds. He had 4 assists, which were the second most on the team. DeMarco Minor had 7. He had 2 turnovers, but he also had 1 block and 3 steals. And how about Pitt tonight with 12 steals in this game? 4 for Cam Corrin, known for his hands, and then 3 each for Nojus Indrisaitis and Roman Cialepa. How about that? Pitt's 2 starting forwards, the starting front court combined for 7 steals in this game. Look, Georgia Tech, I mean, like, you talk about a team that looked checked out. They looked checked out. And I don't know if they just thought they were going to walk all over Pitt. Maybe they thought Pitt was a pushover. Maybe Georgia Tech expected Pitt to lose as much as you expected them to lose. And they just thought they would just walk all over Pitt and it'd be no problem. And this would be an easy win at home. That's kind of how, like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I actually believe that's what they thought, but that's how they played. That's how they looked when they were playing. And yeah, they were missing an important guy, their big center, but they played like they thought this was going to be a cakewalk, and Pitt played like they actually believed in themselves and they were confident, and they played tough on defense. They got after it with the steals and took advantage of Georgia Tech's carelessness. They ended up scoring 17 points off of Georgia Tech's 15 turnovers. They did not out-rebound Georgia Tech, but I think it's partially because Georgia Tech grabbed a handful of offensive rebounds with all those misses in the first half, but they were able to capitalize. I think in the first half, Pitt had 14 defensive rebounds, and they scored 17 points sort of directly off those, plus a couple more on a putback after a miss. But Pitt was able to just capitalize. They were able to capitalize on the turnovers. They were capitalized on the defensive rebounds. They had 21 fast break points, which some came from the defensive rebounds, some came from the turnovers. They scored 16 points. No, that's 16 second chance points. They had 38 points in the paint. That was the stat I was looking for. 38 points in the paint for Pitt today. And just a really impressive performance. I mean, they looked like a pesky team. They looked like a team that could give you trouble if you weren't really careful with the basketball, and they looked like a team that could drain shots at the other end. 11 of 26 from three. They shot 42%, 5 of 16 in the second half. Not as great, but still really strong performance overall. They even were 10 of 12 from the free throw line. Only 12 free throw attempts, so it's probably a lot less than they would like to have on a normal basis, but 10 of 12, including, I think they were 5 of 5 in the first half. So you even got good free throw performances. The only misses, Roman Cialepa missed his on an and one, and then Cam Corrin missed one out of 4, though. He attempted 4, and he was 3 of 4. Look, just a lot of good performances overall here. They had 5 players in double figures. Brandon Cummings led the way with a game-high 23 points. Nojus Indrisaitis, like we mentioned, had 16. Cam Corrin puts in 15 and also had 3 rebounds. Barry Dunning Jr., 17 points on 6 of 12 shooting, only 2 of 6 from 3, but he did make some solid baskets. He also had 7 rebounds. And then Roman Cialepa got into double figures there late. He scored, he had 11 points, and I think 3, 2, 4, 6 of those 11 came in the last 5:45. He was really important in those waning minutes. I mean, Georgia Tech wasn't going to come back. I think you felt pretty confident about that. But Roman, you always get a little nervous. I know Pitt fans are always scared of their shadow. You're always a little bit nervous that they might be coming back. They might be able to might be able to they might rally here. But Roman Cialepa, with a couple of key offensive rebounds, he got a goaltending, an offensive rebound, and where he turned into an and one, an offensive rebound that he just put into a putback, an offensive rebound that like I said, turned into the goaltending. All 3 of those baskets that he made in the final 6 minutes were all on offensive rebounds. And impressive play from him, strong play from Roman Cialepa, and he gets into double figures and scores 11 points. So they have 5 guys in double figures. Cialepa actually goes for 11 and 8. He had 8 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, 3 defensive rebounds, made a 3 early in the game, played through some foul trouble, only logged 21 minutes, but you go 11 and 8 in 21 minutes. You played pretty well. And I would say Roman Cialepa played pretty well. He just needs to clean it up a little bit on the fouls. That's going to continue to be a problem. DeMarco Minor, only 3 points in this game. He made a 3 early in the game after Pitt's first defensive rebound. Actually, he came down. It was Pitt's second basket after Cialepa made a 3. But he did have 7 assists and 4 rebounds. So, I mean, that's and no turnovers. So I think you'll take that kind of game from DeMarco Minor. If Brandon Cummings and Nojus Indrisaitis are scoring and you're getting 26 points out of the paint, and Barry Dunning Jr. is putting, if you're getting other guys to score, you don't need DeMarco Minor to score. And if he can have a game like that where all these other guys are scoring and he's facilitating, he gets 7 assists in this game. You take that from DeMarco Minor, 10 times out of 10. He ended up playing 34 minutes. He was a plus 24, the highest plus minus on the team. Cam Corrin was right after him at 22. Dunning Jr. and Cummings both plus 19. But there are a lot of guys who played well in this game, a lot of guys who were impressive. I think Nojus Indrisaitis might have been certainly the most impressive just because of what he's done in the last 3 games, and maybe the most important. Georgia Tech's real run in this game, Pitt was up 24 with about 10 and a half minutes left to go. They were up 65-41, and Georgia Tech went on a run. They went on an 11-3 run. And it really, the momentum was in their favor. They made a handful of threes. They were getting it going in the paint. They were trapping. They forced Pitt into a turnover out of the trap. They were taking some momentum, and Nojus Indrisaitis, just under 8 minutes, drains a 3 to stop the Georgia Tech run. 14, 15 seconds later, it's a media timeout, and the momentum had pretty much swung back to Pitt, and they never really let go of it after that. So, I mean, Nojus Indrisaitis, definitely impressive for his, how he played and how he looked compared to how he's been in the last 3 games, but also probably the MVP of this game with some of his shots, timely shot making, important shot making, and just good stuff overall. All right, Jim's here. Let's bring him in and see what he's got to say about this. Jim, Nojus Indrisaitis MVP tonight? You going for that?
I think so. It's one of those things, but like it's just simple math. I think I wrote that, but it's like only 6 guys scored a point in their first 3 ACC games. This is the first time they had 7 guys in an ACC game score points. So, it's nice to have. I mean, I think you look at Saturday, it was Brandon Cummings 29, Roman Cialipa 10, and nobody else got double figures. Tonight was a lot more balanced. There's just more movement to the ball. I think they had 19 assists.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed, they shot the exact same percentage in each half of basketball. I think they were 17 of 32 or something like that. So like remarkably consistent as a team. I mean, like they played the exact same half of basketball offensively. I think they kind of gave up a little bit more defensively in the second half, but for the most part, I mean, like the offense was just kind of doing what it wanted. I mean, I think part of it is Georgia Tech's big 6'11" center wasn't there, and I think Pitt had 40 points in the point, and that was 40 points in the paint, and that was probably that was probably part of it. Not having that big guy in the middle, but like Ndongo's given them troubles in the past, and he didn't really do much to them. So they kind of neutralized Georgia Tech, and I don't know. I mean, when you see a team start 0-3 in league play, you kind of wonder, like, oh man, like when's the win going to come? And you wake up today and you're like, oh, Pitt's favorite. I wonder what's wrong with Georgia Tech. And it didn't take long to realize there's a lot wrong with Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I just thought that, and I said this, I forget if you had checked into the live stream yet. I said this early on. Georgia Tech just, I don't know if they looked disinterested or if they just thought they were going to that Pitt was going to be a pushover. Like, it just looked like they weren't really, I mean, there were there obviously are flaws with the team, but like the carelessness with the basketball, and they just didn't seem like they thought they needed to give 100% to win this game. And Pitt came out and was playing really well and playing really hard. And I don't know, they kind of, I don't want to say they pushed them around, but did it look to you like Georgia Tech just kind of thought they were going to just, Pitt would be a pushover, be, kind of an easy win?
I never think it's a good sign when a head coach has to spend a timeout before the first media timeout. Damon Stoudemire had to burn one. I think it was after Cam Corrin had a dunk. I think Pitt went on a 10-0 run. There's still it was like 3 minutes into the game. So like he saw something right away. There was some reason to make him believe like, oh, I need a timeout now. Like the energy's bad. I got to slow this down. And like the timeout didn't do anything. Like it never woke them up. Like Pitt just kind of kept the pressure on. And I mean, they got that lead to double digits and it never really dipped below that. I mean, they just kind of just slowly pressed away from them. And even in the second half, when you thought Georgia Tech was about to make a run, they never really did. Like they would get it to 15 or something like that. I mean, it was like Pitt was able to just fend them off. And I don't know what that was about. I mean, again, you wonder, Georgia Tech had a better record than Pitt. They have an ACC win. They hung with Duke a little bit. And yet Pitt was higher than them in Ken Palm and net, and they were a favorite. And everything about this game suggested Pitt's just better. And I don't know if I expected to walk away out of any ACC game this year where I just thought, well, yeah, Pitt's just certainly way better than this team. But I think I can say that with Pitt versus Georgia Tech.
Yeah. Like you talk about them not going on a run. I'm just kind of looking at the different times where Georgia Tech made consecutive baskets in the second half. They did it at one point. They had a 3 and got a basket in the paint. And the next possession, Nojus Indrisaitis threw an alley-oop to Cam Corrin, and then Brandon Cummings hit a 3 to sort of stem that. When they went on their run, they went on an 11-3 run at one point. And that was when, they cut it to 16, which was probably the closest they might have gotten a little bit closer than that in the final couple minutes. But then Nojus Indrisaitis hit a 3 and kind of shut it down. And then in the final 5-6 minutes, I mean, Georgia Tech just never hit consecutive baskets. Pitt always had an answer. And you're right. Damon Stoudemire called that timeout at 16:21. I think Pitt's next possession, they miss a basket and Roman Cialipa gets a putback, an offensive rebound and a putback. Georgia Tech only scored after that because Brandon Cummings missed the tough layup and they got out in transition and scored a 3. So it was a good game for Pitt overall. And we saw Kieran Mullen, Jim, for 8 minutes in this game, and it wasn't terrible. He had 3 rebounds. Pitt got outscored in that stretch 17-15. But in the first half, he played 4-13, and Pitt actually outscored Georgia Tech 9-7. In the second half, he played a little less than 4 minutes, and it was 10-6 in Georgia Tech's favor. Like, those are valuable minutes. And I think we talked a lot after the last game about Cam Corrin can't play 40 minutes. You've got to force yourself to put Kieran Mullen out there. And I think in the first half, Jeff Capel just sort of forced it in. I think in the second half, Corrin got 3 fouls, and so that's when he went to Mullen. But, I mean, those were not terrible minutes. Even if Georgia Tech had the advantage, even if Georgia Tech was down a man in the paint, I thought Kieran Mullen looked okay. 3 rebounds in 8 minutes. Like, okay, I'll take that production from a freshman center who, when was the last time he even got on the court? If you go through Pitt's game notes, they have they go player by player, like a game by game page for each player. Do you ever look through this, Jim?
Not usually.
Oh, I always go to this. It's, you can see player, they have a page for each player, and it's got game by game with all their stats in each game. It's really useful. They don't even have a page for Kieran Mullen. Like they have him by jersey number, and it goes right from Amari Witherspoon number 8 to Roman Cialepa number 13. I had to double check and make sure he was still on the roster when I noticed that earlier today. I was like, wait, where's the Kieran Mullen page? They have a Makari Moore page. I think maybe they've just forgotten Kieran Mullen to have a page here. But I don't know. When was the last time he played? Do you even know off the top of your head?
So I already looked it up. He did play a little bit against Clemson and a little bit against Miami, 8 total minutes. So he had more minutes tonight than the first 3 ACC games combined. Do you know how many points he has this year?
No.
2.
Oh, yeah?
He has attempted 5 shots, and he has made 1 of them.
When you get your Kieran Mullen minutes, I don't think you're looking for points out of him. You know what I mean? It's 5 fouls to give. You hope he can grab a few rebounds, and he did. He had a really good offensive rebound. I think he immediately lost the ball, but it was a nice play to grab it. I don't think you're looking for offensive production out of him, but you want a couple rebounds, maybe just get in the way. He's really tall, really long, get in the way near the rim, and it's 5 fouls to give. And I think you could get that for 4 to 8 minutes every night. Somebody on the message boards, the great DT Pitt suggested put Mullen in around the 9-minute mark or the 8:45 mark and just have him play through the media timeout. Just have that be his stretch. And I was like, you know what? That makes perfect sense. You get Cam Corrin, the break up until the timeout, the break through the timeout, and then he comes back in. I mean, Corrin still ended up playing he was only 28 minutes because they actually had some stretches where they didn't have any center on the court. These 4-guard lineups, I don't know. I was very uneasy during those lineups, Jim, when it was, DeMarco Minor, Brandon Cummings, Amari Witherspoon, and Nojus Indrisaitis on the court together. But it worked. I mean, they didn't get completely brutalized. So good game overall, obviously. And it wasn't just they stumbled into it. They pretty much controlled this game. Are we? How much has your perception of this team changed now that we've seen them actually win a game?
Not a whole lot. I mean, they're still going to be up against it on Saturday night. I mean, Louisville's coming to town, and Pitt got their moments over Louisville when Kenny Payne was the coach. Kenny Payne's not the coach anymore. Louisville decided they wanted to be good at basketball again, and I think they've lost a couple. I know they're missing some guys. There's some injuries there. They just lost to Virginia, but Louisville's going to be in the tournament. That's a top 20 team. This is the first ranked opponent Pitt's going to have all season. So I think they're still in trouble when they play a team like that. I mean, Louisville can definitely push the tempo, and, Pitt's going to have to avoid those 4 to 6 minute lulls they seem to have almost every game, except tonight. They didn't have that tonight. I mean, they kept it going, but we've seen them struggle before. So yeah, I didn't think they were going to go winless in ACC play. I still think they'll probably win a couple more. But it's going to take a lot for them most nights to win an ACC game. It's going to take a really complete effort, and they gave a really complete effort tonight. So you have to give them credit for that at least.
The last thing I'll say about this, then we'll get into some comments and questions. I kind of made a spreadsheet of guard play because that was one thing Jeff Capel said after the Syracuse game. He said it a couple times that they haven't had a game where all of their guards played well at the same time. And I think it's too much to ask for all 4 guards to play well. So I just tried to look to see how many times multiple guards have scored in double figures. And there have been a handful of games. They had 2 guards scoring double figures against Youngstown State, Longwood, Eastern Michigan. But most of the time, they've had 6 games where only 1 guard out of those 4 guys scored in double figures. And they lost every single one of those games. Not surprisingly, right? West Virginia, UCF, Quinnipiac, Hofstra, Miami, Syracuse. It's not surprising. If you only have 1 guard scoring double figures, you'll be in trouble. Tonight they had 2. Tonight they had 2 and they won and they looked good. I would say this was probably the best game for Pitt's guards. It's the best game for a lot of Pitt players this season. But I'd say overall, the guards between Cummings and Indrisaitis scoring and Minor having 7 assists and Witherspoon, I mean, he was the odd man out, right? 4 points, 2 turnovers, 2 assists. But, if you're going to get that kind of game out of Minor, Cummings, and Indrisaitis, like, they can be competitive with a lot of teams if those guys are going to play like that on a regular basis,
Yeah, and I think that's where they need to get is just find some semblance of like, okay, we know where the offense is coming from. We at least know this guy's going to get 15. Like, I think I wrote earlier today, like, Pitt's had a different scorer like in the 5 previous games. And like, sometimes that's seen as a sign of like, oh, like they're balanced. Like, anyone can beat you. Like, not for this team. It's just like, like maybe this guy's hot tonight. And like, they don't have that like a couple years ago, there'd be stretches like, oh, Blake Hinson has 20, then Greg Elliott had 20, then Nelly Cummings. Like, that was good. That was good balance. This is like, I hope one of them shows up tonight. And like, that's how it's kind of been. So like, seeing Brandon Cummings go 29 and 23 in back-to-back games, like, they need that. Like, there's some elements of Brandon Cummings' game. Like, yeah, you don't love everything about his defense and some of the turnovers, but like, the guy can go get buckets, and like, they kind of just need a guy that can do that.
Yeah, that floater has become like almost automatic. Like, that floater has become the Jamarius Burton like mid-range jumper, like that. It's just like, yeah, that thing's going down every single time. And Omari Witherspoon's got a nice little mid-range jumper too that goes down a lot more than I expected to. Those are dangerous plays, dangerous weapons for those guys. All right, we'll see what people have to say, and we'll get to their comments and questions as we move through. Let me see here. Oh, funny guy says my microphone has ED. The reason I put it like that is like, if I stand it up, hold on. Now I don't know. I've just always, no, I can't even there.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's weird when it's up like that, because then I end up like behind it because of how the camera is and like the height of the desk and stuff. So I just kind of have to turn it to. That's what I've always done. I don't know. And I mean, you can hear me, right? It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lay off. Funny guy. All right. Josh Newark, speaking of funny guys, wants to know what would the Steelers record be with Pat Narduzzi as the coach, and what would Pitt's record be with Mike Tomlin as the coach?
I have no idea.
10-7 and 8-5.
Yeah, I think they're kind of the same guy, kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a Mike Tomlin hater, but I mean, like, the records are what they are, right? And it's the same thing for Pat Narduzzi. The record is what it is. So, could Narduzzi get the Steelers into the playoffs so they could lose to the Texans with a crappy offensive performance? I mean, absolutely. Geez, a team that was just kind of okay offensively all season gets into the postseason and loses with a really lousy offense. Shocking, like, wouldn't it be it would be a Pitt Narduzzi game, that playoff game against the Browns a few years ago where the first snap goes over the quarterback's head and it's just all downhill from there. You're just like screwed right from the jump like that. Yeah. So Steelers would be 10-7 with Narduzzi. Pitt would be 8-5 with Mike Tomlin. And yeah, I don't think there's any difference there. Oak Original says, if he hasn't submitted his portal papers, Mason Heinchel must by midnight tonight. So he's either signed with Pitt or going to a program on the quarter system. Any other conclusion? Well, I mean, to first part your premise, the portal closes on Friday. You have to submit your paperwork by Friday. So he doesn't need to be in tonight. I don't think you're right about that. But I do think he's more or less locked in with Pitt. I don't know why he hasn't tweeted a graphic that says he's locked in with Pitt, but everything we've heard for a while is that he's signed and sealed and everything's good there. I mean, classes started on Monday. So I believe he's in school, going to class from everything I know. So, yeah, I guess, is there any other conclusion other than him either signing with Pitt or going to a program in the quarter system? I mean, there are plenty of conclusions you could draw. I think he's back at Pitt, and he's got to announce at some point, right, Jim? Like, what are we waiting for?
I mean, that just feels like a layup for Pitt, just to have like a little afternoon of buzz. Like everyone's going to write articles and talk about it and get the fans excited. So I don't know why they never did it. And like the portal might close, and it's like I don't know. Like maybe they were just like, oh, like of course he's coming back. Of course he's going to be our quarterback as a sophomore. But like it just seemed like a free thing to do. Like you have like Cameron Lindsay doing it and Nick James, and like, yeah, that's something. But like people want to hear from the quarterback. So I don't know why he didn't do it, but like I don't think like we're like sitting here like waiting like, oh, what's going to happen next? Like he's probably like sitting in his dorm in Oakland right now.
Yeah, that would be my assumption. Josh Newark says, am I correct that Pitt has added 2 offensive linemen and 1 wide receiver through the portal? Depth at those positions was pretty poor, I thought, this past year. Any position groups that still lack depth, in your opinion? They're probably fine with the 2 offensive linemen they got, Jim. I think Natino Olivieri will step in and be the starting left tackle and probably be an upgrade over Jeff Percy. Keelan Davis may step into a starting role in the interior, and if not, he'll compete and push those guys. Would it be nice to get another good offensive lineman? Of course, but I think they're probably fine there. They do need another wide receiver. Like, I think they've got to find someone. And there's a lot of guys out there. I think they need to, even if it requires paying out of your comfort zone, I think they got to go get another wide receiver because, like, do you know how much they're losing from the receiving corps, Jim? I know you know, but do you know, like, what the numbers actually are? Can I tell you what the numbers actually are?
I figured you would.
Okay. Yeah. They lost 12 players who were targeted at least once last season with a pass for a total of 314 targets, 208 receptions, 2,587 receiving yards, and 23 receiving touchdowns. Now, that's all positions. That's not just receiver. That's receivers, tight ends, and running backs. 2,587 receiving yards and 23 receiving touchdowns. Even if you just want to talk about wide receivers, you're looking at almost 200 targets, 119 receptions, 1,598 receiving yards, and 14 receiving touchdowns that they lost from last season's roster. Like, that is a lot. And I think there are a lot of ways they can get back to that production or get close to that production, but like they need another transfer. I just don't think you can go into it with Malik Knight, Blue Hicks, Sincere Lee, and the young players, the guys who were freshmen this year or going to be freshmen coming in 2026. They need somebody else from the transfer portal. And I think, like, at some point you have to spend out of your comfort zone. I don't think you can just say, we're going to stand pat and find a guy we can get for 150,000 or 200,000. I think it may require you going above the level you are comfortable paying a wide receiver, because I think it's that important, because I think you do have a window here with a really good quarterback, and you've got to put people around him. You've got to protect him. You've got to give him people to throw to. And I think they've done okay at finding guys to protect him, but I don't think they've done enough to give him weapons and targets. And I don't know. There's still plenty of time left. There's a lot of guys in the portal, but they got to get one, don't they?
Yeah, I would say wide receiver is probably the top priority still, and it probably has been since the portal opened. I think that was like something they really need to address, and I think Malik Knight helps a lot. I mean, I think he can make plays, and I kind of trust this staff that they're going to get guys from the FCS that can help. They're not just going to throw out charity cases. Like, I think I'll give them some slack with Raphael Williams. Like, I wasn't sure what that was going to be, and like ended up being pretty good. And like same thing with Desmond Reed. So like, I'm guessing if, there's still something there with him, but like you still need more. You're still counting on Sincere Lee to bounce back from an injury and just be Poppy Williams this year. And like, I don't know. Like, I need to see that. Like, he kind of dropped a couple passes this year and didn't play a lot and never really got into a rhythm. Like, I like Blue Hicks. I think he can make more plays. I think he should absolutely have been targeted more and probably had more than 24 catches. And he probably will have all those things next year, but like, you still need more. I mean, like even if they feel great about Tony Kinsler and Bryce Yates, you need another weapon. You have a quarterback that could get them the ball. I think this offense is, I think I've said this before. Like it's friendly towards getting guys 50 catches and 600 yards. Like I think you could find guys like that in the portal, and I think it's important to do that. And I think they're out there. When does the dead period end? Tomorrow? Today?
Today's the last day of the dead period, so we'll see if they start having guys on campus for visits starting tomorrow.
That was kind of it. Like I was just like, we'll see
Gotcha.
see if someone's coming in this weekend because nobody's been here the past 2 days.
Yeah, they haven't brought anybody in. Sincerely is interesting. I was looking at his numbers from 2 years ago. 19 catches, 254 yards, 3 touchdowns. You're like, well, that's not a lot. That's not good production. But he only had 29 targets. And if you look at Raphael Williams had like 80 targets each of the last 2 years. If you take Lee's production on 29 targets, project it out to 80 targets, he ends up right in that range. 52 catches, 700 yards, 8 touchdowns. Like that's exactly the range that basically Raphael Williams and Kenny Johnson were at last year. Those two guys combined for 99 catches, just about 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. So you're looking at replacing that. You're looking at finding a couple guys who can each go 50, 706. And Sincere Lee 2 years ago was basically operating on that pace. He just only had 29 targets. So you would say, okay, I could probably project him to get to 50, 706. And Malik Knight, he caught 47 passes for 774 and 7 touchdowns at Western Carolina. Now, it's at Western Carolina. It was only one season, but we saw Raphael Williams translate his production from Western Carolina. I think there's probably a decent chance Malik Knight could translate it as well. And so if both of those projections hold, you could more or less replace the production of Raphael Williams and Kenny Johnson. My question, and I think we might have talked about this last week because I feel like I've had this conversation a bunch of times here and on the message boards and on the podcast, is it enough just to replace the production of those guys? Or do you owe it to your team, to your offense, to your quarterback to find somebody who can go above and beyond what Raphael Williams and Kenny Johnson did?
I think it's worth seeing, but like we've seen 2 years of this offense and kind of see how it looks. Like it's guys.
But that's with those guys, though.
I know.
That's not with like a big time wide receiver one.
Right?
A legit guy.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I want to see what it looks like. Like
gotcha.
We know what this offense can operate with. Kind of guys getting equal reps. Like I think Konate Mudfield's a good wide receiver. He got drafted, but like his numbers were what they were. And they were very similar to what Kenny Johnson and Poppy Williams did. Like you do owe it to yourself. And like, obviously you would love to just recruit that guy. You would love to just land a Jordan Addison. Boom, there he is. But like at a certain point, that's not how college football works all the time. You might not be able to get that homegrown wide receiver. Like sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone and, like you're saying. So I don't know. I mean, I can't sit here and say we know what their finances are. I mean, like, there's never been a contract number reported in college football. It's all, oh, well, he's getting this much and he's getting that much. But like, if there's anything still in the tank that they have, and I think they have a couple needs, I would shade more of it towards wide receiver than anything else.
I kind of, what did I say? I wrote down what I thought were the 5 biggest needs. Not in no order: a backup quarterback, a wide receiver, a defensive end, a safety. And I think I might have said a linebacker, but that was before they got Alex Sanford, the linebacker from Purdue. You add anything to that list? Backup quarterback, wide receiver, defensive end, safety?
That feels right. I mean, like I think everything else they could stand to add just about anywhere else. Like I think you could justify adding a third transfer tight end just because you have 2 freshmen behind them. Like you use 3 this year, so you're probably going to use 3 next year. So I don't think they're going to go after one, but like it would make sense. Another offensive lineman would make sense. Even another defensive tackle would make sense. Like I think there are places you could go, but I do think they need a veteran safety, someone like ideally another Kavir Baines-Marquez, but somebody like that. Like go get an FCS guy that has started games, that has played a lot of football, who is smart. And that's what Kavir Baines-Marquez is. Like his team always played in the playoffs. He was a starter, captain, all those things. And it translated. Like he might not have been the most athletic safety in the world, but like he was a sound tackler and he knew where to be. And like sometimes that's half the battle. So I think they need someone like that. It seems like Cade Bell follows any quarterback that's in the transfer portal. So like they're definitely going to go after one.
Yeah.
So yeah, those seem like the big moves. I mean, yeah, that kind of feels right.
Mad Dog on the basketball topic says, I've been really impressed with Roman Cialepa of late, making the right reads and better at finishing recently, as well as capable to hit the three. He really hustles out there, gritty player. Yeah, I feel like every game he just looks more and more comfortable, Jim. I think he looks like he's more comfortable on the court, and so he's able to kind of get after things a little bit more. He had a really nice play where, somebody knocked the ball away and he kept it in bounds. He obviously had some really good, 3 big offensive rebounds down the stretch in the final 6 minutes. He just seems to be finding himself. He's got to stay out of foul trouble. And maybe that's just part of his game, that he's going to be a guy who, gets, called for fouls because he plays physical like that. And he's a little bit of a bull in a china shop, but like, the last 5-6 games, whatever it's been, I mean, he's been a blast to watch, and he's been a real asset for the team.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's like really starting to click for him is rebounding. Like I think there's just been a better effort. I think he had 8 tonight, 8 last game, 7 the game before that. So like he like that's who he needs to be. He's a 7 to 8 rebounder type player. And like for some games, like he wouldn't even grab one. Like he'd be out there for 30 minutes and he'd have 1 or 2 rebounds. And like that's not what they needed from him. That's, and it was a hard ask of him to just kind of be a 12-8 guy right off the bat with no summer, adjusting to a new country. But that's kind of what they were asking him to do. So like he's finally kind of doing that. Like this is the player we thought they were getting when they landed him, like this big, awesome Australian prospect. But like he definitely suffered from not being here in the summer. Like you could tell, like he just didn't really know where to be or how the game was played or how it was called. And like all of a sudden, like he understands college basketball now and he's competitive and he's having fun with it. I mean, like he's, talking some trash and dunking the ball and like he's playing basketball. He's being himself and he's a bully and he should be a bully. So like his development has been like the one real true positive of this season, I think.
Yeah. And just for the record, Jim, he's only played 30 minutes 5 times and he had at least 3 rebounds in every one of those games. But, he had like a 0 rebound game, but he only played 12 minutes. He had a 1 rebound game, but he played 11. He had 1 where he played 8. I mean, I'm just fact checking you with the really handy page in the notes that lists each player game by game. So when you said all these games with 30 minutes and he only had 1 rebound, that didn't happen. So
well, he probably would have played 30 minutes if he started grabbing rebounds.
But then he still wouldn't fit into your hypothetical of how he plays.
Then I wouldn't have to have the hypothetical. Then he just would have been a good basketball player the whole time.
It didn't happen. So these games you're imagining did not happen. Marlon Barnes-Truther says, Biba is really shutting me up about his lack of points against Power 4. Yeah, he had a thing where he wasn't really scoring at all against Power 4 competition. Now he's doing it and even doing it in a win. So he's got that going for him. He's so streaky though. Like I know, like you said, 29 in the last game, 23 tonight. Like, would it surprise you at all if he has like 4 points on Saturday, or if he has 40 points on Saturday?
I mean, that's kind of the thing, and that was what I was saying earlier. Like, yeah, any of these guys could just stumble into a 20-point game, but like the very next game they could go back to 2 points, just like it's nothing. Like there is no, it's so hot or cold, and like I think we even said earlier in the season, like. At some point, Nojus is just going to have like a weird 25-point game. I thought he was going to get it tonight. Like a couple of those shots needed to go down, but like they all have that. But like they all have that same ability to go 0 of 7.
Yeah. Let's see. Brock Madonic says it was the Nojus Indrisaitis game, and PG Gene says the N-Bog. It'd be more like the Nybog, the Nojus Indrisaitis breakout game. It's not quite the Adbog. How's Amsal doing? Is he hurt? Did he get hurt?
I think he's out for the year.
Out for the season? That's a bummer. That's too bad. I feel like DePaul was going to go all the way. Cheech and Chong says, I honestly didn't think Pitt would win an ACC game this year, so I'm pretty happy. Yeah. I mean, I think, Jim, I think you even said it earlier. Like, we didn't think they were going to go 0-18, right? They would get a win at some point. There's just, and maybe a couple. Right? Like what would you have said like prior to today if I asked you this afternoon and you picked Pitt to lose this game? So if I had asked you this afternoon, like what was the percentage chance of Pitt going 0-18? I mean, what would you have put it? Like 5%? 10?
Yeah, like I figured they like even like last year whenever they got on that like really bad streak of losing a bunch of games. Like, I'm like, they're not going to lose out. Like, there's other bad teams in this league. And I remember like they did win like a little stretch for 3 in a row. Like they beat Miami at home, I think. And like, it was like, okay, like you can always win a couple games because there are some really bad teams in the ACC. Like Pitt is one of them, but so is Georgia Tech. So is Boston College. So is Florida State. Like there are opportunities to win games. So I guess whenever you're having one of these down seasons, you just want to catch the schedule right and make sure they're all on your schedule.
Yep. Speaking of the schedule, Pitt fan H2P says hopefully this will encourage fans to pack the Pete on Saturday. It's an 8:00 tip-off against Louisville on Saturday night at the Peterson Event Center. What do you think? 8:00 on a Saturday night. Good for a crowd or bad for a crowd? That's a late game, that 8:00 game.
Yeah, I can't see it being like a great crowd, but like probably better than what they've been having. I don't even like, what was the crowd like on Saturday against Syracuse?
It felt about the same. Let me see what I don't even know what they announced it at. I have, again, in my handy dandy notes, I just keep this open on my computer at all times. So I can just always reference it like I am right now. Let's see. Announced attendance for the Syracuse game. They announced it at 6,300, which is pretty much what they announced the Clemson game at 6,600. So, getting about that number, it felt about like most of their games, honestly, like, more than some of the really, really bad crowds. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of like whether people are more likely to come because it's at 8:00 or less likely to. I feel like people make excuses no matter what. You know what I mean? If it's 8:00, it's too late. If it's noon, it's too early. If it's 4:00, it's in the middle of the day and you can't get away and that's over dinner time or, whatever it is. So, if people want to go, they're going to go. And
I always get a kick out of that. Like during football season, we post like the kickoff times and like some guys like, well, I have soccer practice. I can't go at noon. And the next guy's like, well, I had to work in the morning. I'm so happy to get, it's like,
yeah.
Everyone has their own schedules, but I don't know, like 8:00 in the middle of January, like the NFL playoffs are on. Like,
oh yeah.
Like I like, not that like the Steelers or Eagles are in it that would like affect anyone, but like, I don't know. It's tough.
Yep. Brock Madonic wants to know who's been your favorite portal edition so far. Who do you think, Jim? Who's your favorite portal edition for Pitt so far this off season? You have one?
I like the running back.
Yeah.
I think Lavelle Knight. I think that's a good fit for them. They needed a power running back, and like I had a conversation with him and did a little interview with him. And like the one thing like I liked, he was like, they were really straightforward. Like they told me they need a big back, but like I'm also just going to go play running back. Like they're not like, there's not like this like specially designed, like where I can, like, he's like, I'm going to catch the ball out of the backfield. Like I'm just going to line up and play running back. I just happen to be bigger than the other running backs. That's all it is. So like, I like that. Like he's part of the offense and I think he's a good player. And like, he didn't like put up huge yardage, but his like yards per carry are good. Like the past couple of years, like he gets what's in front of him and he finishes around the goal line. Like 10 touchdowns is a good thing. That's what you're looking for. They needed that. Like, even though it was the bowl game, like there were so many times it was noticeable. Like they kept getting caught on these like weird, like 3rd and 1s where like Boosie needed to come out and like the walk-ons couldn't get the 1 yard. Like I'm sure like the offensive line didn't get the greatest push, but like a good running back can get 1 yard. And I think Lavelle Wright could get, 1 yard when they need it. But I also think he could just kind of be a physical presence, that thunder and lightning effect. So I thought that was like an underrated ad. Like they didn't need 100%. Like I thought they needed a bigger running back, but I think they got a good running back who happens to be big.
Yeah, definitely like the fact that he averaged 5.5 yards per carry and scored 10 touchdowns. That's those are both big numbers to me. I like the corners, Kanye Thompson and Rayon Strader. I think both of those guys look really good and look like they can fit in Pitt's defense pretty well. And particularly if like you don't necessarily need them to start, if they're like, if they're in that rotation with Shadarian Harrison and Sean Lee Jr., like they seem like good fits. What's interesting about so many of these guys, especially on defense, is it's not like they went out needing starters. I think last year they probably did with the defensive ends. They went out needing to find starters, but this year they haven't really needed to do that. So they get 2 defensive tackles. they can be like number 3 and number 4, or number 4 and number 5, depending on where Isaiah Neal goes. If he stays at end or moves back to tackle. They got the 2 linebackers. Maybe one of those guys could start, maybe both, but they don't. It's very conceivable to see those 2 guys both working in the depth, and starting Braylon Lovelace and Cam Lindsey and Jeremiah Marcelin. These 2 corners could be in the rotation. Maybe one wins a starting job, maybe both. I don't know. But so you look at the 6 guys on defense that they've added, and you might look at it and say, like, oh, these guys aren't stars. These guys aren't going to come in and win starting jobs. And yeah, that's kind of the point. They use the portal to fill out depth with veteran players. All these guys have experience. And now, you're that much stronger. Maybe they win starting jobs. Maybe they don't, but you're not relying on it. And so when Blaine Spires gets hurt or Jaden Moore gets hurt, you're really crushed by all these guys you were counting on last season. That's not as much the case this year because these transfers are depth pieces. And I think that's a good thing, even though I think Thompson and Strader, absolutely could win a starting job, at least one of them this season.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And I like the linebackers they added because like you said, they both can start, and they just create a pool where it feels like you have a 2 deep now. You have Lovelace, you have Lindsey, you kind of knew about them. But Marcelin was supposed to play a lot this year. Jaden Bonsu was supposed to play a lot. So you have those 4. Then you add these 2 guys. And all of a sudden you have 6 capable guys. Then you have 3 good freshmen coming in. You just kind of kept the linebacker train moving. I know you lost star power with Biles and Lewis, but the bottom line is still really good. You could still get really good linebacker play out of what you have. So that's, creating an opportunity to be successful without breaking the bank. It's those kind of moves where it's man, why not go get a wide receiver? You're not killing yourself with defensive, starters. You're just getting depth pieces to kind of make yourself stronger. You're not breaking the bank. So if you're going to spend anywhere, you're kind of seemingly, theoretically, conceivably, you are saving money elsewhere, but we haven't seen the big wide receiver name.
Yep. Golden Panther 76 is a super chatter, says if Pitt is stuck with Mason Heinchel's money demands, does an experienced quarterback commit help Pitt's position? Who would Pitt chase if he went to the transfer portal? I don't think there's some kind of, I don't think Mason Heinchel's holding out. I don't think there's money demands, and I think he's got a deal at Pitt, and it's for the amount that he wants, and everybody's good with that. And I think as long as he's on the roster, you're gonna have a really hard time bringing in anybody who, quite frankly, anybody you'd feel comfortable starting. You're going out looking for a backup, a veteran who can play. So if you need him to take a couple snaps, he can come in and take a couple snaps, and you don't have to automatically go to Corey Daly or Angelo Renda because they're the only other scholarship quarterbacks on the roster. So I don't think there's a holdout. I don't think there's negotiations and things like that. I don't think that's what's happening. I don't know why he hasn't made his announcement, but I don't think that's what's happening, No,
I think Pitt's pursuits of a quarterback are all very much in the mold of Cole Gonzalez, someone where, again, it's a smart FCS player. It's a senior. It's someone where you feel comfortable in between Mason Heinchel in a pinch rather than going to a freshman. I think if Mason Heinchel got hurt this year and they had a week to decide, they would, maybe start one of the freshmen, kind of prepare them, get them ready. But if Mason Heinchel's helmet falls off, they need a guy to just go in for a play. I think that's the type of quarterback they're looking for right now. A guy that could fill in a pinch, like Cole Gonzalez did whenever Eli Holstein's helmet came off against West Virginia for a play. That's who they're looking for right now. They're not leveraging Mason Heinchel. Mason Heinchel's not leveraging Pitt. He's Pitt's quarterback.
Yeah. Hustle Westbrook says, glad to see a few more bodies out there. Jeff Capel needs to stop disciplining players by not playing them. We don't have enough players to do this. I think he'll play guys if they earn it. Nojus Indrisaitis early in this game did not look like he was going to be in line for more than 9 minutes or so. And then he made a 3 about 9 minutes with about around the 9 minute mark. He made a 3. It was oh, maybe he's going to be in line for some more playing time. And he ended up playing. I don't think Jeff Capel is disciplining anyone. I just feel if he thinks you can't help the team win, then he's not going to play you, even if it's to the detriment of the guys that he does play, because they all end up playing 35 to 38 minutes. So it was good to see a few more bodies out there. I think it was really like the biggest difference personnel-wise was Kieran Mullen getting 8 minutes and Nojus Indrisaitis getting more minutes than he has in a while. But I mean, that's how Capel's always been. I made a joke on the message boards today, Jim, about like, it's like an annual rite of passage. This is the year when he's going to go 9 deep or 10 deep. I don't think we fell into that this year. I think we did not get sucked into that idea, but every year we've done that. This is going to be the year. This is when they actually do it. And then by second week of January, they're, 7 deep at best. It's just how he does it. He relies on the guys that he feels like he can trust. And I'm guessing Nojus Indrisaitis will be in line for more minutes on Saturday until he does things that makes Jeff Capel feel like he can't trust him again.
Yeah, like the other thing is like these are the only 8 players like I would feel comfortable putting into an ACC game. Like anything from Makari Moore, I've seen he can't do it. Papa Amadou Conde's hurt. Like who am I missing? Like Henry Lau's been hurt. Like there is nobody else. Like they have 8 players, and one of them is Kieran Mullen, who has attempted 5 shots and only made one of them all year. So like you only have 7 people that could physically put a ball in a basket right now. So like I don't think like it's not discipline whenever like Nojus is riding the bench. It's like he's unplayable in that exact moment, and he's hurting the team. Like what was the first thing he did tonight? He got the ball and traveled. The very first possession, he touched the ball. And we all said, here it goes again. Nojus is just going to be a turnover machine. He's going to miss a shot. I think his second possession, he missed a shot. It's like, okay, so he traveled, missed a shot. Here we go again. He's going to play 3 minutes. But he snapped out of it. Like, and sometimes you just need to play out of it. I think a lot of his mistakes and troubles lately have been mental. I think he's in his own head, but like, it's college basketball. Like, he can't like just play a guy and, make him feel better. It's like, dude, you're turning the ball over. We need to get you off the court. Like that's just where it was. So like, if he can add value, like, okay, great. They have 8 usable players again.
He shot Georgia Tech out of the zone. They went to a zone and he like almost immediately made a 3. And I think that was the end of, Georgia Tech's zone defense. Let's see. Brock Mondonic says more production like this from Brandon Cummings and Nojus Indrisaitis in the same game especially would help. Yeah, they absolutely need that. That's a big, like we talked about, getting multiple guards to play at a high level. See, Rich Campsey says, could Kanye Thompson from Slippery Rock and McKeesport return kicks or punts? I forget. Did he do that at Slippery Rock? Do you remember, Jim?
Well, I interviewed Kanye, and he said that was part of their pitch. Like they do want him to come in and be a return man. I guess he wouldn't handle both; it'd be one or the other. But I think he had like 8 or 9 last year. I don't know if that was just teams kicking away from him or he wasn't always the guy. But I mean, like just to go to his background, like he was an All-American in track last year, Division II. I think he finished 10th in the 100. He holds a Slippery Rock record for the 100 meter. So, like, the dude can fly. Like, there's no question about it. And he's absolutely going to be given every chance. I think that was something they recruited him on. Like, he's going to be given that opportunity. And I did talk to him. He's not going to run track this year. He is he's going to focus on football, gain some weight, I think he said. But, yeah, I think returning punts is part of the deal.
Let's see. Josh Newark says, play 13 personnel under center and short yardage plays, please. Cade Bell doesn't use a lot of 13 personnel with 1 running back and 3 tight ends. If you recall the interception against Louisville down near the goal line, I think they might have had 2 tight ends on the field, and they threw a pass because Pat Narduzzi said they were trying to play off their tendencies because whenever they have 2 tight ends, they always run the ball. Well, yeah, that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. Sometimes you still should do it anyway. I don't know if he has many 13 personnel plays. I actually asked Cade Bell once if he had ever run any plays in 13 personnel. I forgot what he said. I think it was 13 or was it like something even more ridiculous, like 23 personnel or something with like 2 running backs and 3 tight ends. And he was like, no, I've never done that, or 14 personnel or something crazy. I feel like, I don't know if they've had like 3 tight ends, but I think maybe once or twice they've had like 2 tight ends and an extra tackle. on the field. Does that sound right? Like they would have Justin Holmes, Jake Overman, and like Kendall Stanley came in just a couple times.
Like I do remember some like 2 tight end sets, and that's not always the case. Like
right.
So like it's notable whenever I notice 2 tight ends on the field. I don't remember the jumbo Kendall Stanley, Jake Overman package though.
He had 2 snaps in week 2. Kendall Stanley did 2 snaps as an inline, lined up as an inline tight end.
Okay.
2 snaps against Central Michigan, I guess. So
I wasn't even at that game, so I don't feel bad.
That's why you don't know. That's why you don't know. You probably weren't at the games where Roman Cialippa played 30 minutes either, because you assumed that he just had 1 rebound in all of them. Let's see. Sorry. I'm reading through the other comments and questions, seeing what else everybody has to say. Rich Campsey says, I think DeMarco Ward could be a player in the Shark Room. Yeah, I mean, I think, and we've said versions of this a number of times. I think when it comes to linebackers, we're just going to kind of defer to the coaching staff and trust that they know what they're looking for. Even with Ryan Manilak being gone, I think they probably have a pretty good feel for what they want at that position, and they're probably going to do a pretty good job finding it. So, yeah, DeMarco Ward and Alex Sanford, I have every reason to believe those guys will fit in because, well, they haven't had too many misses at linebacker over the past 4 years, 5 years, somewhere around there. So I'm going to assume those guys will probably be pretty solid. You?
I would think so. And aside from Pitt not having many misses, either is Joe Bowen. Like anywhere he's been, like he's turned to gold too. Like he's coached the MAC Defensive Player of the Year 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
Won at 2 different schools. So like, it seems like he has a pretty good eye for talent. I'm sure he had some influence on these guys. So like the thing with the defensive staff, like it seems like he's going to fit in just to like what they like to do. Then obviously, like the defensive staff doesn't feel that much changed, even though it did change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like they're just going to do what they're going to do.
Yeah. For losing 2 guys, it seems like it still feels pretty consistent. Yeah. A. Hendy says Jeremiah Marcelin's going to be the best linebacker this year. I mean, like they were talking him up a lot last year before he got hurt, talking about how, he could play middle linebacker and Braylon Lovelace could slide outside to outside linebacker, and that Lovelace would play both middle linebacker and money linebacker. And that doesn't happen if Marcelin's not good enough to, if Marcelin's not good enough to play there. So I have pretty high expectations for him. I don't know what to expect out of Jaden Bonsu, but I think Marcelin will be absolutely in that rotation. So, I mean, if you have Lovelace, Lindsey, Marcelin, the 2 transfers, and Bonsu as your top 6, plus, like you mentioned, the incoming freshmen, some of the guys like that are kind of in those like 2nd or 3rd year guys, like who's out there, Davin Bruton and Justin Thompson.
Yeah.
And there's one other, Manny Taylor. Thank you. Yeah, I think it'll be a good group. I think, and maybe even a little deeper than they were last year after they lost to 2 guys out of the 2 deep before the season even started. So, yeah, I think the linebackers will be fine.
Yeah, I don't really like if Marcelin was pushing Braylon Lovelace like in the middle of August, like Braylon Lovelace is really good. So if he was like in a competition with him, then I also have pretty high expectations for Marcelin.
Yep. All right. I think we will wrap it up there. It's 10 o'clock. It's very late, well past my bedtime. So I need to get out of here and go to sleep. But Pitt wins. Pitt beats Georgia Tech. It's their first ACC win. So we'll see if they can build on that against Louisville on Saturday. I'll be at that game. Stay tuned to Panther-Lair.com for all the coverage of it. And I think that's about it. Thanks to everybody for tuning in tonight with the comments and questions. Jim, thanks for your time as always. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. We're talking more about the wide receivers tomorrow on the Morning Pit. We'll have the mailbag on Friday. Lots of good content for you as the transfer portal gets closer to its end in the 2026 offseason. It's been an interesting one so far, and I'm sure it's going to keep up. But all right, thanks again for tuning in. Have a good night, like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you tomorrow on the Morning Pit right here at youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.